I'm Matt Manny. I want to welcome you to this session in our series of Launch, where we want to talk about how to forget your comforts, set your course, and follow your calling. My goal is to help you to become more effective in who God created you to be and to accomplish all that He has called you to do. In this video, we're going to get some insight on our time. When you launch, two tools that you have to use to get from where you are to where you want to be in life are the clock and the compass. And today we'll specifically talk about the clock, your time, and how you can better understand how to use it and why sometimes your time seems to manage you instead of you managing it. It's been said timing is everything. What could be a good thing now, but at the wrong time can be a very bad thing. In Luke chapter 5, we talk about Jesus when He told Peter to launch out into the deep. It says in verse 1 that the people pressed upon Him to hear the word. In Luke 5:4, it said when He had left speaking, that Jesus then asked the disciples to launch out into the deep and let down their nets. In Luke 5:6, it talks again about timing when it says when they had done this, that Peter caught more fish than he could have ever imagined. In Luke 5:8, it says when Simon Peter saw it, the very next thing that took place was that he fell at Jesus' knees, and he was totally astonished in verse 9. By the time we get to Luke 5:11, it says when they brought their ships to land, Peter, James, and John left the fishing business and followed Jesus. When we consider some myths about our time, we think time is inconsequential. It doesn't matter what I do with my time. We also think time is unlimited. It doesn't matter because I'll have more time. We think we can save time, that we have rollover minutes, but the truth is we really don't have any rollover minutes. We also think time is neutral, that it's not right or wrong. We also think that time has to be consistently active for it to be valuable. Truths about time, one is timing is a gift. It also has value that can increase over a period of time. It can be lost or wasted. The more we use it, the less we use it. Time can also be measured. It gives us a frame of reference to live out our lives. Our age is a representation of time. Our age is a celebration of our life, and ultimately a celebration of the time that God has given to us. Number 5, our time can also be multiplied. As we invest time in other people, it can be used for good or for bad. Here are some principles about time. Principle number 1 is this: the consistency of time determines the distance of our time. You will always go farther with consistency, consistent periods of time given to one area of life than when compared to giving a short burst of time and energy given to a sporadic area of life here or over there, and we do it inconsistently. The second principle is this: there is the process of time, that it's greater than the pace of time. We like to think of location, but location can ruin a person's life when we think about the grass being greener on the other side. Allowing time to mature us through God's process working in our lives is so crucial. Instead of trying to look for what's over on the other side of the fence, we need to water the grass that's underneath our own feet. Trying to be at the right place at the right time will only produce stress, anxiety, and hurt in the people around us, and ultimately can hurt ourselves in the process God's trying to work in and through us. The third principle is this: the moments of time culminating to produce a mastered lifetime. It's all those little, seemingly inconsequential moments that multiply to give us a greater picture of what a whole person's lifetime looks like. When the small moments combine, they will create a greater picture of a person's life as a whole, not just the small snippets, but as the whole. The fourth principle is this: the quality of time, the start time does not dictate the quality of the end time. That is, how we start doesn't necessarily dictate how we end. The fifth principle is this: time is not frozen. Course corrections can be made over time. If you feel like you're stuck in a place, you say, this is just how it's going to be forever. Think about this: what you did in your past does not determine your future. It can impact your future, but you can choose to correct the course of your life at a moment in time with a single decision. Principle number 6 is this: greatness happens in the mundane times more often than what we would consider the magical times or the mountaintop times. The greater the amount of time that we spend right now here in this moment in the mundane faithfulness, the greater the impact of the brief magical times or mountaintop times will be. It's those long periods of stretches that we go through in those mundane moments that make it even better in those magical moments. The key to making the most of your time, however, is this. One word, it's patience. Patience is the act or quality of waiting long for justice or an expected good without discontent. The problem is this: we want to short circuit this process because we're in a rush. We're hurrying from one place to the next, and we can't short circuit that process. Patience will help you master your time. Patience will give you longevity over a lifetime. What was the process of patience for the disciples? What was it that Jesus took them through? We'll talk about the 4 different steps that Jesus took them through to get them from where they were to where he wanted them to be. Step number 1 is this: handling invisible time. Invisible time. In Luke 5:1 it says, it came to pass. What happened just after that time frame, or that reference, is that the people pressed on around Jesus to hear him because they want to hear the word of God. It's what you don't see happening that brings value to the waiting moments. While Christ was preaching to the masses, the disciples were sitting there washing their nets. Sometimes for us, when we watch God and we wait on God, it seems unfair, it seems not fun, but it allows him to work behind the scenes. The second step in this process is this: it's the transitional time. In Luke 5:4, when he had left speaking, that is, speaking to the multitudes, the masses, Jesus turned around and he asked Simon Peter, the disciple, to go ahead and launch out into the deep and to let down their nets. It's when you see this process taking place of Jesus ending his talking to the masses that we can look forward to the next stage of life beginning. It's when we see one stage end and the next stage begins. It's this beginning moment that Jesus has asked us to get involved with him, to join him. He transitioned into inviting the disciples into this next stage, and so too he does that for us. The third step of this in handling our time is the empty time, the moments when it doesn't seem like anything is really happening. In Luke 5:6 it says, when they had done this, when they launched out into the deep, that Peter caught more fish than he could have ever imagined. In Luke chapter 5 verse 8 it says, when Simon Peter saw all the fish that he brought in, he fell down at Jesus' knees. He was totally astonished at what had happened. It's what we don't experience, it's what we don't see, it's what we don't have that brings meaning to the moments that Jesus does the incredible for us. It's what I would call the without moments that bring meaning to the moments when he blows our minds away. Going through the night, having caught no fish, set the stage for the moment when Jesus was going to show up and work in an incredible, amazing way. This is how you get an astonished Peter in verse 9. And this is how you get an astonished you and me when we go through those without moments that Jesus works through. The last time frame, the last step is this, the transitional time. It's when you give up your time, when I give up my time, that we gain the God moments. When the disciples had finally finished their work, they had been faithful to what they were doing, they had waited, they had gone without catching the fish, they responded in obedience to Jesus Christ, they received the incredible catch of fish into their boat. It was that transitional moment when they had been so astonished and so excited that Jesus said, I want you to commit to me even more. It's the mundane moments that we go through that are the greatest time to prepare you and I for the mountaintop moments. We all love to think about and push forward the successful moments, the mountaintop moments. And those are great places in life to get perspective, to become inspired. But the real truth is that none of us can live on a mountaintop. Mountaintops don't make a great place for a neighborhood, for a community. They don't make a really great place for us to live. It's pretty lonely and it's isolated up there. But it's in the valleys, the mundane, patient places of life where we get connected in with other people, where we find our relationship with Jesus Christ growing, where we can understand ourselves better, and we can get a better pace of life going in those time frames. To wrap up this understanding, this session, I want to ask us some questions today. What can you be more faithful at doing that you've kind of let up on a little bit? What are the things that you've been consistent at but haven't gotten back to lately? What can you do to eliminate things from your life that don't help you? What's holding you back that's keeping you from moving forward? What can you do to make better use of your time? How can you rearrange your schedule to be better, make better use of what you're doing? Here's an evaluation technique that I like to use. I encourage you to use. Take time beginning of your week, maybe a Sunday afternoon, a Sunday night, before you head into the Monday morning rush. Ask yourself these questions. What went right last week? What happened last week that was good? What about this? What went wrong last week that I wasn't planning on? What did I see take place that I'm not too happy about? I want to change. What did I accomplish that I wanted to do? Things I set out to do, and I was able to hit the mark. What did I not accomplish that I wanted to do? What kept me from getting that thing done, whatever it might have been? What was a time waster for you this past week? What kind of sucked up your time? What took your time that you didn't plan on? What do I want to give more time to this coming week looking ahead? Think about what are the musts that you have to get into your week this coming week. What are the big priorities? Here's a priority profile for you. If you consider, first of all, you want to get God into your week. You want to get some time in, if those of you who are married, spend time with your husband, with your wife, spending time with your kids. How about church time? Think about the time you want to spend with those who are your faith community. And then think about your work. When you think about all those things that you have coming this week, we want to get those in priority. Otherwise, our weeks will get out of balance. Remember, in order for you to fulfill who God created you to be and fulfill what He called you to do, you've got to get your time and your priorities in place. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, live out your who in all you do. We'll see you next time.